Tommy Houston would begin making entries among the late model sportsman ranks in the mid-1960s. Attaining notable success on short tracks, he would eventually win well over 100 races in the following years and take home the North Carolina State Championship in 1976. When the newly consolidated Budweiser Late Model Sportsman Series was announced for the 1982 season, he would make plans to run the full tour. Competing in the debut season of the new tour, driving for Mike Day, he would make starts primarily in the number 27 car and occasionally in the number 6. Following a top 10 run in the season opener at Daytona, he would win the inaugural short track race of the series at Richmond and take over the points lead.
The guy who really has to come out fighting early is this man, Tommy Houston in car number 6.
Unfortunately, it would be short-lived after a mechanical issue the following week at Bristol. Returning to form in the next event at Martinsville, he would earn 5 consecutive top 10 finishes. Things would be less consistent through May, June, and July, however, recording 6 DNFs and 4 top 10s in the 11-race stretch. Sliding back to 5th in points, he would rebound at Hickory Motor Speedway on August 1st, leading the final 43 laps and earning his second series victory. Keeping up the momentum, he would finish no worse than 10th over the next 6 races, including 5 top 5 runs. Having climbed back to 3rd in the standings, the bad luck would return, finishing out the year with 3 consecutive DNFs. Houston would come home 4th in points behind the trio of Jack Ingram, Sam Ard, and Tommy Ellis, finishing the season with 2 wins, 11 top 5, and 18 top 10 finishes in 29 starts. Returning to the number 6 car for the 1983 season, Houston would run strong over the opening months of the year, earning 10 top 10 and 6 top 5 finishes over the opening 16 rounds, including second-place runs at Richmond and North Wilkesboro.
There is that 95 Nissan staying in front of Tommy Houston, and they have a real war going for position.
Despite 4 DNFs over the same span, he would be sitting 4th in points, 115 out of the lead when teams pulled into Orange County Speedway 4th of July weekend, leading 51 laps en route to his 3rd career victory. This would kick off a bit of a hot streak, seeing Houston claim 3 additional victories over the next 9 weeks, including a return trip to Orange County, as well as at IRP and Hickory. Despite 3 additional DNFs, the team would run consistent enough over the course of the season to finish 3rd in points, with season totals of 4 wins, 14 top 5, and 22 top 10 finishes in 35 starts. The team's performance would remain at a high level over the 1984 season, overcoming early DNFs at Daytona, Martinsville, and Charlotte. Houston would claim victories at Hickory in June and South Boston in August, as well as recording runner-up finishes at Hickory, North Wilkesboro, and twice at Orange County.
Dives down to the inside, trying to move through another time is Tommy Houston.
He would come home 3rd in the overall standings behind Sam Ard and Jack Ingram for the 2nd year in a row, after compiling season totals of 2 wins, 15 top 5, and 22 top 10 finishes in 29 starts. Picking up sponsorship from the Southern Biscuit Flour Company for the 1985 season, this would kick off what would be a successful multi-year partnership. The season would start off strong overall. Despite a less than optimal run at Daytona, he would commence a string of 6 consecutive top 5 finishes the next week at Rockingham, and wouldn't finish outside of the top 10 until Memorial Day weekend in Charlotte.
And Tommy Houston in car number 6 will start this race. Always a threat in a late model sportsman race. Houston's won some races. He's been around a long time. He's got a new sponsor, and he wants to do very well on national TV.
Tommy Houston sticking his nose into the fray. Houston there in that white car, running in 4th in line of those 4 guys, and they're really going at it.
Boy, they are going after it.
Remember, this is a half-mile racetrack. It's high bank, but because of a lot of forces that play into it, centrifugal force and what have you, normally the best groove is on the bottom. If your car is handling, you can sneak underneath your adversary as you go around one of the corners like Houston's doing right now.
Wow, look at this move.
Now he's got to move up. There's slower traffic. Jeff Hensley in front of him, and Houston finds the room. Really smooth, Benny.
That was a great move. Great move on Tommy Houston's part. He's disposed of 2 of those guys in quick fashion.
Houston is another one of those late model sportsman regulars who knows how to run this kind of race in this division. It really seems to pay off to have a lot of experience running late model sportsman cars on 200 and 300 lap races.
Look at Tommy on the outside again. Boy, I tell you what, those fellas just don't, they go up no man's land with no problem.
He has won a lot of races in late model sportsmen in the last decade. He's among the leaders career-wise. There is Tommy going to the high side of Larry Pollard, and I can't say that was unexpected.
Getting back on track at Hickory in early June, he wouldn't finish worse than 9th until Bristol in late August. He would break through on October 12th at Hickory Motor Speedway, taking home the 9th victory of his career and 4th at the track. Following another consistent season in which he maintained the best average finish of his career at 7.9, he would come home 4th in the overall standings, having earned 1 win, 17 top 5, and 21 top 10 finishes in 27 starts. With Steve Arndt now listed as the car owner, 1986 would see Houston earn top 5 finishes at Rockingham, Hickory, and Bristol early on, along with a top 10 at Darlington, would find the team second in points by mid-April, despite encountering mechanical failures at Daytona and South Boston. Houston would claim the 10th victory of his career May 3rd at Langley Field Speedway, leading all but 12 of the event's 200 laps. Unfortunately, 3 consecutive DNFs to follow would see the team drift back to 9th in points before righting the ship with a second-place run at South Boston and victories at Hickory and Orange County in back-to-back weeks.
There are the leaders. Houston, number 6, in a Buick, Jack Ingram, 11, Oldsmobile.
He would suffer broken ribs in a crash at IRP in late June. The ups and downs would continue throughout the balance of the season, scoring 5 additional top 5 and 10 further top 10 finishes, along with his 4th victory of the year at Martinsville in September. However, also enduring another 6 DNFs along the way. Ultimately, he would come home 5th in the overall standings after compiling season totals of 4 wins, 12 top 5, and 18 top 10 finishes in 31 starts. 1987 would begin with a highlight, claiming the pole for the season opener at Daytona with a lap averaging 194.389 miles per hour, a track record for the series that still stands today. The year overall would see a reduction in performance, with an oil cooler failure in the season opener being the first of 8 DNFs, nearly a third of the year's events. Highlights would include a runner-up finish at Langley in May and third-place runs at Hickory and South Boston. Overall, Houston would claim 7 top 5 and 12 top 10 finishes over the season's 27 events, closing out the year 12th in the overall standings after going winless for the first time on the tour. Seeking a rebound in 1988, the team would succeed in regaining their stride. Earning a runner-up finish at Hickory, additional top 5s at Langley and South Boston, and top 10s at Bristol and the Nashville Fairgrounds, the team would be sitting 7th in the standings after 12 events. Breaking through in the month of June, Houston would make his return to victory lane in back-to-back weeks, taking home the checkers at Orange County and Lanier. Performance would remain strong throughout July, earning top 5s in 4 out of the 5 events, including his 3rd victory of the season coming at Hickory. A runner-up at IRP in early August would see the team climb to a season-high 2nd in points. He would remain consistent over the final 9 events of the year, with 5 top 10 finishes and 2 DNFs in that span. After earning 3 wins, 11 top 5, and 17 top 10 finishes in 30 starts, Houston would close out the year 5th in the overall standings. The rejuvenated team would enter the 1989 season with high hopes. An 11th place run at Daytona, followed by a top 5 at Rockingham and a runner-up finish at Martinsville, would find Houston leading the points for a week for the first time since 1985.
There is Tommy Houston, and he's up there with Michael Waltrip. What a run Tommy Houston has made.
Remaining consistent through April and May, he would earn a top 10 at Bristol, back-to-back 3rd place runs at South Boston and Lanier, and a 7th place run at Charlotte. A runner-up finish at Orange County in early June would be followed up with his first win of the season at Louisville Motor Speedway. 3 weeks later, he would take home the checkers again at South Boston, kicking off a stretch of 6 consecutive finishes of 10th or better. Retaking the points lead from Tommy Ellis in August, he would remain there until Labor Day weekend at Darlington.
You see the front of the field, those are the front 3, and here comes Tommy Houston looking low. The old Southern Biscuit number 6. Tommy Houston, who is currently number 1 in the standings by just 15 points over Tommy Ellis. 115 points separate the top 5. There you see that 6 car working on Gant.
Ken, I think everybody in the points battle thought this was their opportunity to make a move on Tommy. He qualified well back in the pack, and everybody said he's off the pace, but it sure doesn't look like it right now.
Going back and forth with Ellis throughout September, he would go back on top after claiming his 3rd victory of the season at Martinsville. Unfortunately, an engine failure in the next event at Charlotte would allow Rob Moroso to take over the points lead. A 5th place run at Rockingham would put Houston back on top with a 19-point advantage entering the finale at Martinsville. In a devastating blow, the team would suffer another engine failure in the late stages, ultimately costing him a shot at the title by just 55 points. Finishing the year with his best ever points finish, he would compile totals of 3 wins, 12 top 5, and 17 top 10 finishes in 29 starts. With Houston now listed as the car owner, the team would enter a new sponsorship agreement from Rose's Stores for the 1990 season. Houston would continue to have speed, earning back-to-back wins in the season's 4th and 5th rounds at Martinsville and Hickory.
Tommy Houston looks pretty strong. Houston lost the Busch Grand National Championship at the closing race of the season last year at this facility. And Houston seems to be on something of a positive note this year. Says he's going to win as many races as he possibly can and get that championship. Meanwhile, the tires are going away on the 8 car of Bobby Hamilton, and he feels the pressure of Tommy Houston. Kenny Wallace continues to ride around. Meanwhile, Tommy Houston is able to get by Bobby Hamilton. So Houston is up to 3rd place and is charging in the Rosa-sponsored car. That's son Scott Houston, the crew chief on the car, talking with Dad. Ellis, the car is expiring here in the latter stages of the race. After being so strong and dominant, now Tommy Houston goes by. The excitement continues here at Martinsville, Virginia. The indication is 1 lap to go to green. But a man who's in the hunt is Tommy Houston, with Scott Houston as our own Mark Allen.
Scott suddenly in 2nd place and contending. How are your brakes?
They're real good. They're as good as when we started the race.
Have you got anything that you haven't shown us yet or shown Elton Sawyer?
I think a little bit. It's going to be close.
A lot of optimism in his voice. His dad, Tommy Houston, is ready for the start. The green flag flies. Elton Sawyer gets the advantage. Going down into turn 1, he looks strong. Starting to pull away. 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths. Something's happening, slowing down. The field streams by Elton Sawyer down the back straightaway. And Tommy Houston goes into the lead. Dale Jarrett is right behind him now. And Rick Mast in the 22 car. And Tommy Houston has taken over the lead here in the Miller Classic 200 at Martinsville, Virginia. This man has suffered enough disappointment at this racetrack. The 2 closing races of the season, a chance to win a national championship, sidelined by problems, and he ran out of fuel several years ago. And now he's in a position to get a checkered flag. Tommy Houston in the Rose's Store entry, running for the checkered in his Buick.
God, what a difference 5 laps makes. Can you hold off Jarrett?
I think so. I think it looks real good.
Eldon Sawyer, Chesapeake, Virginia driver, driving for A.G. Dillard now. The white flag flies. Can he do it? There's a little slow traffic in front of Tommy Houston as he goes by the Ben Hess car. Smartly to the outside. Going into 3, Eldon Sawyer will be held at bay by 2 car lengths, but slow traffic continues to haunt Houston as Eldon Sawyer's getting closer and closer. Houston coming to the checkered flag, takes it by a car length. Scott Houston and the Roses crew, they're elated. The elation of victory. As Tommy Houston makes his way down, his crew is on his way over to him. And finally, he can breathe a sigh of relief. He's won here at Martinsville. Mark Allen making his way down to the happy victor.
Tommy Houston, a happy winner. Boy, you talk about a patient race. It sounds like you ran it just like you wanted to from what you told us before.
Yeah, everything worked good on the car all day. That was the main thing. We put some different brakes on it, and the car had the same brakes on it at the end of the race that it had on the front, at the start. And this is the same motor we ran at Richmond and at Rockingham. Jim Ruggles built the thing, and it's been awful reliable, but it's getting a little bit weak right now. I don't think we could have beat Elton had he been in front of us, but I knew I could beat him for quite a few laps there. If I got back in front of him, I could pull him pretty good off the 2 back there, and that's what it took.
Last year so close to the championship, broke here. Does this make some amends?
Yeah, anytime you win a race, it makes amends, but here at Martinsville, it's even sweeter because we've been coming here a long time to try to win one of these races. And, you know, we won the 150, but we was always wanting this 200 or 500 in the spring or fall.
Remaining strong throughout the remainder of the spring, he would earn top 10s at Darlington, South Boston, Nazareth, and Dover, as well as a second-place run at Hickory. His third win of the season would come at Volusia County, June 23rd.
After a short rain delay, Chuck Bound led the field to the green. Tommy Houston got by Bound for the lead, but several cars never turned a full lap. When racing resumed, Houston and Chuck Bound battled for the lead, while the third-place car of Dana Patton slid completely off course. And when the action heated up again, it was Houston and Tommy Ellis up front. On lap 115, the lapped car of Tommy Ellis pushed Houston up the track, and Hamilton slipped by. His lead was interrupted by a skirmish involving Dana Patton and Billy Standridge. Standridge, Jack Sprague, and Gary Neese brought out caution number 13, and several laps later, L.D. Ottinger, Donnell Burkhalter, and the sixth-place car of Tom Peck piled up. After both wrecks, you guessed it, more speedy drive. By now, Volusia County Speedway looked more like Daytona Beach, complete with a dune buggy. The race was red flagged on lap 162 to clean up the mess. When the race restarted, it didn't take Tommy Houston long to get by Hamilton. Bobby Hamilton and Elton Sawyer battled for second, but no one could catch Tommy Houston as he picked up his third win of 1990.
After scoring a second-place finish at Oxford Plains in mid-July, he would take home the checkers once again at South Boston, heading to Victory Lane at the facility for the third time in his career. The remainder of the year would be less consistent, still managing 5 additional top 10 and 3 top 5 finishes, including a runner-up at Martinsville. These results, however, would be counterbalanced by 6 DNFs over that same span. Coming home 9th in the overall standings, Houston would earn 4 wins, 9 top 5, and 14 top 10 finishes over the season's 31 events. The 1991 season would see a reduction in speed for the team. Although managing a better average finish and finishing one place better in points than the season before, Houston would miss out on Victory Lane for the first time since 1987. Highlights included a runner-up finish at Oxford Plains for the second year in a row, as well as a strong run at South Boston in the summer, leading 25 laps and coming home third. He would finish the year 8th in points after earning 5 top 5 and 11 top 10 finishes in 31 starts. The 1992 campaign would start out rough, suffering 3 DNFs and only managing 1 top 10 finish over the opening 7 events of the season. Houston would rebound at Hickory Motor Speedway April 18th, earning the 24th and final victory of his Busch Grand National Series career.
How about Tommy Houston? Had a family tragedy, as we mentioned earlier. His father passed away yesterday. Tommy taking time out from the family preparations to run this race, and he has run his way up to 3rd spot after being involved in some early difficulty. Green flag, and it caught Steve Grissom napping just a bit as Spencer and Waltrip get away. Now Jeff Burton, that car is smoking pretty well from the rear end, and Tommy Houston sends Waltrip up out of the groove and out of 2nd place. There's Houston. Tommy Houston's last Busch win was July 1990. I'm corrected, South Boston, Virginia. He started his career here, of course lives here in town, and what a better place to snap out of that streak, and what a better weekend to do it than right here, right now. Here goes Tommy Houston.
He's got the inside line on him.
Hickory's hometown hero, and Spencer gives him a talking to. Tommy gets the lead. Handled.
Yeah, I saw a big bar, and they pulled out a little bit on that.
And here's Earnhardt popping up right in front of Jimmy Spencer on the racetrack. And that will give Houston a good lead, and everybody here at Hickory is on their feet. Tommy Houston in the Rosa Stores car, trying to pull off his first win in nearly 50 Busch Grand National races. Started this race dead last in a provisional spot.
You know, it's going to be hard for Earnhardt just to pull over. He was right there battling with these guys directly behind him for position, and he's still thinking if he can get up there and get around Tommy Houston, and the caution comes out, he's back in the lead lap again, so he's not going to give up much ground. And as we say that, he's battling right now to get that lap back. The problem here, if he gets that inside line, Spencer has opportunity to go with him.
Oh, here comes Dale, and he gets just barely into Houston. Never mind that these two are in-laws.
There's Spencer really hammering on the back bumper of Tommy Houston. it's hard to protect that lead. And the guy gives you a shot right in the center of the corner and breaks the rear loose, and you have to chase it with the front end, and it moves you out a little bit. He's got his hands full holding him off.
Glenn, what's the mood down at Tommy Houston's pit there?
Well, right now they're pretty anxious, I guess. They're excited. They think that Tommy can hold him off. Just a personal observation. I've been an attendee of racing here at Hickory for a long, long time. This is Tommy Houston's country, and I do believe that in his heart, Jimmy Spencer knows that if he should happen to turn Tommy Houston and keep him from winning this race, I don't think he'd get out of here alive. So he's being very careful.
Spencer's got the ability with that car of his to get the nose up under him, right off the corner. And right there going in, he just lets her sail in and leans all over the back of him. And as they get right in here, this is where he's working on him. And I mean working. He's getting him a shove or two every lap. But he's been able to get the nose to the inside. There we go. See Tommy move to the inside, protecting that inside line.
Of the drivers that have won races so far this season, the highest placed of those drivers is Ward Burton back in 8th spot. So we're almost, I say almost, guaranteed of an 8th different winner today. And Hensley and Burton get together. Here's Labonte up underneath Spencer, but only for a moment.
He had about 2 foot of the car under Spencer, but he backed out as they got out in the corner.
Spencer right in the middle of the corner. He's coming hard, but here's Labonte.
Labonte's got it. Now Spencer before just turned left when they got in this situation, trying to hold them back. They can't afford to be cautious. They just got to sail the car off in there, and they're gaining on him fast.
Well, Houston had to get hard on the brakes for Jeff Burton going to pit road. Tommy did not want to go on the top side of the racetrack. And right there is Bobby Labonte. 5 laps to go. Can Houston hang on for 5 laps? Labonte looked to the inside, but it was a feint, and 2 cars are in the wall in 2. 4 laps to go.
And there's Spencer coming around all of them.
Will this race get restarted? 3 to go. Here's the pace car. They did not get 1 to go this time. This race will end under caution.
Did it end under caution because that's the way it's run most of the day.
26 caution flags so far. Scott Houston, you heard out yelling on pit road, throw that white flag. On the weekend, where Tommy Houston mourns the loss of his dad, he scores a personal mark here and breaks a nearly 50-race winless streak. At his home racetrack where he started his career and has won track championships, he's the winningest Busch Grand National driver since the series started in 1982 at this racetrack, and he takes the checkered flag for his 8th Busch Grand National victory at Hickory.
Sometimes you win races. He won the war today, and I'm telling you, it was a war from the start.
Okay, guys. He's still being congratulated by the crew here. Scott Houston, all the guys did a great job. A day of conflicting emotions for Tommy Houston. We told you about the death of his dad last night, but what an exciting day this was. Tommy, congratulations, man.
Well, yeah, thank you, Glenn. I was telling Scott on the cool-down lap here, I said, you know, my daddy didn't go to races a whole lot. He did back in the dirt days, and I think today he must have been watching from up above. I sure hope he was, and this, by all means, is dedicated to my dad.
Well, to break this drought in front of the hometown fans, man, it couldn't have been any better, could it?
Well, yeah, that's true, Glenn. You know, anywhere, and we've been strong enough to run the rest of, the races this season, we've got caught up in some little deals, but this Rosie's Ford Buick, it just kept running the same every day. All we did was put tires on it, and so Scott and those guys did a heck of a job on the setup, and Don Miller did a heck of a job on the engine.
Well, I think a race driver did a heck of a job, too, in making up laps twice out there. Good job, man.
It was you know, about as bad as I've ever seen. You had to get in there and root people and knock them out of the way and everything. And I didn't you know, fault the people that knocked me out of the way early in the race, and I don't think that they did me later in the race. It's just a good, hard racing, especially under the conditions.
Well, congratulations again to Tommy Houston. His pit crew has been named the Miller Genuine Draft Crew of the Race Award. Back upstairs to Mike Joy.
The remainder of the season would be up and down, with top 10s coming at Myrtle Beach, Talladega, Charlotte, Martinsville, both trips to Loudon, and the return trip to Hickory. His second top 5 of the year would come at IRP. Finishing out the year 10th in the overall standings, Houston would compile season totals of 1 win, 2 top 5, and 10 top 10 finishes in 31 starts. Switching to Fords for the 1993 season, the team would see a notable decline in performance. A fourth-place run at Hickory in April would be the lone highlight of the season's first half. After suffering 8 DNFs in the first 14 races, Houston would sit 20th in points. Fortunes would improve slightly over the second half, earning top 10s at IRP and Bristol and top 5s at Loudon, Richmond, and Hickory. Houston would climb his way up to 16th in points at season's end, compiling season totals of 4 top 5 and 6 top 10 finishes in 28 starts. Houston would remain full-time in the series through the 1996 season, claiming 4 additional top 5 and 10 top 10 finishes. His final top 10 run coming at Darlington at age 51. Tommy Houston was one of the original stars of the Busch Grand National Series and a racing legend especially on the short tracks throughout the Southeast. He would only finish outside the top 10 in series points once over his first 11 seasons, finishing top 5 in points 7 times, including his 1989 runner-up effort. Compiling career totals of 24 wins, 123 top 5, and 198 top 10 finishes. At the time of his retirement, Houston held the record for the most career starts in the series and was second to only Jack Ingram in series wins, currently sitting in the top 15 all time for both stats as of the recording of this video.